Next, I call up Isaiah Walters. Do you have family here? Okay. I'll call up Isaiah's family. Yes. Yeah, your whole family. Your left hand goes on the Bible? Yes. Okay. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Isaiah Walters,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of police officer
of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I now call up John Ward. We'll make this quick. Repeat after me.
I, John Ward,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
perform all the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
perform all the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Next, I call up Anthony Mormino. Yes. Repeat after me. I
I, Anthony Mormino,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
and justly perform all the duties of Police Sergeant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I next call up John Chuck. I
I, John Chuck,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of Police Lieutenant
of all the duties of the office of Police Lieutenant,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I next call up Salvatore D'Amico. Is everybody here? Wow. Repeat after me. I
I, Salvatore D'Amico,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties of the office of Police Lieutenant
and justly perform all the duties of Police Lieutenant
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Next, I call up Glenn Ender. Repeat after me. I
I, Glenn Ender,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties of the office of Police Captain
and justly perform all the duties of the office of Police Captain
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Okay, repeat after me. I
I, Forrest Ross Lyons,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties of the office of Police Chief
and justly perform all the duties of the office of Police Chief
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you so much.
Folks, if you could step outside. Yeah. Folks. Folks, if you could step outside, please. Folks, if you could step outside with your congratulations. Thank you. You know, okay, we're going to continue with our meeting now. Folks, thank you. Okay, we're going to go now to public comment, no longer than 40 minutes, 3 minutes per person. Anybody in the audience going to come up to the podium for public comment? We're not allowed to close the door. Frank, we can't close the door. Not allowed to. Does he know how to? Yeah, okay. If you'd like to wait a minute till the noise dies down, that's fine.
Okay. Good evening, Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street.
And
Wait.
I'm going to ask you to hug the mic because of the ambient noise.
Wait till Heather's going to ask them to
Yeah.
move.
They're just too happy.
Yep, rightfully so. It's too bad there's only 2 new hires, but. Okay? Good?
Let's give it a try.
Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I was here tonight as a follow-up. One of my neighbors a few weeks or a few meetings ago on South Irving Street asked about the soft sidewalks. There were 3, I guess, experimental pieces of the soft sidewalk put in on South Irving Street. These are designed so that the tree roots don't have to be cut, and I think they're somewhat permeable for water. And as somebody who walks on South Irving Street every day, I can tell you they're very comfortable to walk on. Anyway, my neighbor, Catherine Schmidt, asked about a particular tree at the corner of South Irving and Addison Place. The cement panels have been removed, but the roots, thank God, have not been cut yet. And she was asking, is it possible to put that soft sidewalk there? And there was some questions that she had about maybe you were going to try to go through all 4 seasons with the soft sidewalks before you decided. Those huge roots have not yet been cut, which is great because, as we know, cutting those roots tends to basically kill the tree, not today or tomorrow, but soon. And we all know that we don't like to cut down trees. So following up for Catherine, because I also want to know, and I'm hoping that somebody will get back to her. As of last night, nobody had. And as long as those tree roots aren't cut, that's good. So thank you.
Cynthia O'Keefe, 542 West Saddle River Road. So we really didn't, have an opportunity, some of us, to speak at the end of the last meeting, and that was a little bit of a disappointment. When the consultant went and spoke for 90 minutes. So, I'm hoping that in the future that can be better managed so that public comments are addressed, and people who want to have something to say each get an opportunity. Usually it's, I have not encountered that in the past, so it was a little bit of a surprise. I just wanted to bring up that there was a letter that was sent, I believe it was on Monday, and it was from Kate Markopol, and she is from the DEP at New Jersey, and she wrote to the council and to the mayor about the Zabriskie Shedler House Park development. And she said this email serves as official correspondence of the New Jersey Historic Preservation Office. And so she goes on to talk about, the protocol, and that she had spoken to or had consulted with Chris Rudehauser, the village engineer, regarding the development of the park. So in this letter, which I believe you all received, she is saying that pursuant to certain, the NJAC 7413, the proposed park development meets the definition of an undertaking and is therefore reviewable under the New Jersey Register of Historic Places Act. So, she goes on to outline what the process is, and so we just wanted to make sure that this protocol is being followed with any of the designs, whether conceptual or otherwise. And I believe that she's also calling for an archaeological study. So we look forward at some point to hear more information on how that's progressing, when it will start, and what it will consist of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Jacqueline Home, 30 Carriage Lane, Ridgewood. I have a two-part question comment. Council member Lorraine Reynolds had asked for village attorney Matt Rogers. I was hoping that he would be here today to review the complaints that the residents had said the Bergen County Land Acquisition Grant was incomplete, and there was information on it that we felt was misleading and needed to be corrected. And he did provide a response. However, in that response, for example, in his response it says, I had written that the section of the application inaccurately states that the Shedler property would be the only municipal property located the east side of Route 17, which also does not have a park with a field. And he responded to say that the response provided in the application is accurate, but needs to be clarified to include North Road Park. And that is very different than what is being said in our master plan. The master plan says that Glen School Field is adjacent to the Glen School and owned by both the village and the Board of Education. So it's little notes like that that rather than me having to go back and forth and now go back, I was wondering if, Ms. Reynolds, if you could facilitate some type of meeting with residents where we can point these things out, or just have a discussion in transparency and communication, or perhaps with the village manager as a liaison, because that's still pending. And today there was another letter circulated, either today or yesterday, I'm not sure, from George Wright regarding the the Shedler property and the Zabriskie-Shedler house. And he is the president, Captain Abraham Godwin chapter of the New Jersey Society of the Sons of American Revolution. And in that letter, he's basically saying, and he copied the DEP that the previous speaker mentioned, the full council and other members of the DEP and Bergen County Historic Preservation. And he's saying that, in a nutshell, there could be no reasonable doubt that the Shedler property is a central part of the 1780 battlefield. So my question is, who's right? Is it Mr. Primavera? Is it the state of New Jersey? Is it the National Standard of Interior that designated the partial in its entirety as historic? We've got to get to the bottom of who's actually right. And if one of these people, whether it's Connolly and Hickey or Hunter Research or the state or the national or Primavera, somebody is wrong. And if they're wrong, we paid thousands of dollars for this, and so will somebody be asked to pay us back if they were incorrectly reporting?
Thank you, Jackie.
You're welcome.
Good evening, no mayor and council. Boyd A. Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I was at last week's work session, and I was very, very disappointed that 3 members of the council voted to exclude members of the public who were standing up here ready to speak at 11:20 at night. I was also disappointed that there were some members of the public that were waiting on the hybrid access that were also not granted the opportunity to speak. I hope that doesn't happen again, but I can't be sure that that won't happen again. I'd also like to point out that the public that's sitting in this room and the public that is watching on TV has no idea how many people are in queue on the hybrid access. The Board of Education has a screen behind the president of the Board of Education where they publicly display the number of people who are in queue and the names of the people in queue. That is full transparency because it assures the public that no one is being cut off or no one is not being allowed the right to speak. When you are in the room, you know who is lined up to speak, and you know that they're going to get their chance or going to be told publicly that they don't have a chance. Without that screen, we don't know how many people are waiting, and we don't know if they're being selected discriminately. We don't know if somebody is being cut off. So I'd very much like to see that screen up there display the number of people and the names of the people who are waiting in hybrid access to speak, so we have full transparency as to how many people are being allowed to speak and how many people are not being allowed to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boyd. Anyone else? We'll go now to the people watching at home. Eleanor Gruber.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Ellie Gruber, 229 South Irving. I'm glad that Ms. O'Keefe brought up that letter. I think it was a remarkable letter. And if you notice in the beginning of the letter, they said they've been dealing with Mr. Rudishauser since 2020, when he sent an incorrect plan without notifying the mayor or council. So this has been going on for a long time, and it seems like there's just no stopping them. But there is no way they can do what Mr. Primavera said. It's fantasy land. He says he has an 80% chance of having this overturned. I don't think so. He said he can move the house. I don't think so. And I don't know why you take his word over the word of people who really know a lot more than he does. The reason that letter was written the other day is because there's so much back and forth between residents, the council. The historic office is a very important office. They don't want to be fooled around with. And they really told you so. So I really wish that you would get to work doing what you were supposed to do 2 years ago. You saw that it flooded. You saw the mess. You have to figure out what to do. The house, I hope, will be ready in the fall. Miss Maylander assures me, I hope that's right. I'm not getting any younger, Heather, that I'm telling you right now. Anyway, I'm looking forward to opening the house. I'm looking forward to you really being reasonable about this plan. You just can't do what you want to do. There's just no way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ellie. Manny?
Hi, can you hear me?
Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Yep, is this better?
Yeah, that is better.
Hi, sorry, I'm on my husband's laptop. This is Denise Lima, 319 East Glen Ave, and I was one of the people on access last week at night after 11 o'clock that didn't have the chance to speak. Highly disappointing since we're up late as well and hoping to talk. And, you know, I'm just going back to what you all said when you were running. And some quotes, it's unfortunate Paul is not here, but he said, you know, my biggest goal for the council is to give the council back to the community. We are here to do what the residents want. And I'm all in. So with 350 petitions and people coming onto these meetings week after week, you know, we really hope that people would listen to us. So we're not being transparent. The residents' voice is being suppressed. You know, it's agenda manipulation, to coin a term from Ms. Winograd, and it's just really sad. It's very disappointing. So what I wanted to say last week about Peter Primavera's presentation is he throws out people's names and places without any details, artifacts, or even audit trails. He claims he has 40 years experience, over 3,000 projects, several pages of references we saw in his resume. But, you know, for me, I cannot find a single thing, a single project, a single detail on his website, Facebook, or LinkedIn pages about any of that experience. So I called T. Thomas Fortune. They were somebody he recommended on our resume. I talked to Gilda Rogers, the board president, who I know because I'm working on an exhibit with them in Red Bank. And they said that they kindly released him, and his recommendations and directions were not collaborative nor in alignment to our requirements. He says he's worked with Montclair, spoke to the planning board and historical preservation conference there since last week. We canceled his contract and dismissed him for absence of vetting qualifications. I called 7 local historians that I trust in Bergen County who transcribed revolutionary letters, muster books. I called local Ridgewood historians who you all know. None of them were contacted. The Englewood Taylor Bliss House that was moved for $173,000. I spoke to the Brown family, who are the financial supporters and sponsors. They never heard of Peter Primavera, but he spoke of it last week. I have 10 other examples, detailed examples. I think historians collect information. They don't collect information from taking, you know, magical, mystical, historical tours of Ridgewood with the council members. Like, I don't see how he could be drinking the Kool-Aid that our council people are historians and not other people that are here for us. So, you know, moving the house, the recommendations, highly disappointing. And I think you guys should reconsider any of his advice that he provides. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. And that's all we have of commenters remotely. And we'll go now to...
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Denise, if you're still out there listening, it was kind of hard to hear you. If you could email us the information you just spoke about, I would really appreciate it. And any other information you might have. Thank you.
And with regard to the first commenter and the sidewalk material that was used on South Irving, I have asked to bring that back on the council because we do need to make a decision on how we're going forward with that situation. And now we'll go to...
there are no ordinances for, I'm sorry, it's village manager's report.
Village manager's report.
Good evening. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First, I want to start my report tonight by officially congratulating Chief Lyons and all the members of the Ridgewood Police Department who were promoted or began their law enforcement careers tonight. Certainly, our police department are a vital aspect of our community and keeping our residents safe and secure. So I want to congratulate them and again look forward to working with all the members of the Ridgewood Police Department. Today we had a successful event with the Parks and Recreation Department at Graydon Pool called the Dog Days of Summer. I want to thank Nancy and her staff for putting that together. It was certainly well received. Last week, I started a series of department head meetings. Thus far, I've had the opportunity to meet with finance, police, fire, IT, OEM, and our tax assessor. And pending this week and the beginning of next week, I'll be meeting with Parks and Recreation, the Building Department, the Water Department, Public Works and Engineering, the Municipal Court, and the Health Department. These meetings have been vital in educating me and learning more about Ridgewood. And in addition to that, I've had the opportunity to spend a good amount of time with Deputy Mayor Perrin, Councilmember Reynolds, and Councilmember Winograd, and I look forward to meeting with Councilmember Whites and the mayor when he returns from his vacation. I also want to mention, and I don't want to steal Councilmember Winograd's thunder, but we have sat through 2 demonstrations for new website vendors. Very excited about the opportunity to upgrade and provide more access and transparency through our website to the residents and visitors of the website here at Ridgewood. So we'll be working on that together through the Communications Committee, and I'll leave it to the council member to expand more about that under her report. I am also pursuing the signing of all of our labor contracts. I had the opportunity yesterday to meet with Heather, who did a yeoman's job in resolving all of the labor contracts with the exception of one for our supervisors that expires at the end of this calendar year. We will be finalizing the contract language that was agreed to during her negotiations, and we're hopeful to have those contracts signed and complete by the beginning of September. We've had 3 personnel issues that we've met on over the last few days, and they are in the process of being resolved either internally or through our Labor Council. I also want to mention that we have a new recruit that will be starting the academy with the Ridgewood Police Department on Friday, and I want to welcome Shannon Greer as she enters the police academy, soon to be a new Ridgewood police officer as well. I do want to warn all the residents in Ridgewood that in the next 6 to 8 weeks, there are going to be a lot of inconveniences and detours on the roads. We have 5 different paving initiatives through PSE&G, through some grant money that was attained here through the engineering department. The 2 major roads that are going to commence milling and paving next week are county roads. So on Monday, July 24th, happens to be my birthday, the county will start milling Godwin Avenue from Wesley Square to the Midland Park border. That milling will take place on the 24th, 25th, and 26th. On the 28th, we will begin milling Linwood Avenue, and that will run from Paramus to Maple Avenue. That will run till August 1st. And then from there, starting on August 2nd, both roads will be paved. Godwin will be paved first. Linwood will be paved after Godwin is complete. I want to thank our partners at the county for this initiative. Anybody who's driven on those roads know that they were in somewhat of disrepair, certainly needed to be improved, and I'm glad that that's happening before school starts in September. In addition to that, we continue to put out through the police department and on our various social media platforms the PSE&G paving schedule. That began on Monday, and it started with in the Heights Road area, and that will continue all the way through till Thursday, August 10th. That's contingent upon cooperative weather. If we have bad weather, I would anticipate that a lot of this is going to run into the end of the month of August and possibly into September, but we're working closely with PSE&G. I want to remind all residents that resurfacing is important, and it is a temporary inconvenience for a long-term benefit and a long-term improvement. With regard to some announcements, the Ridgewood Guild is sponsoring free movies in the park Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. in Memorial Park at Van Neste Square. Tonight's featured film is Pirates of the Caribbean. August 2nd is Man of Steel. August 16th is Sunset Boulevard. And the movies will start at 8:15. Pedestrian Plaza continues to roll along from Walnut Street to Broad Street along East Ridgewood Avenue on Saturdays through October the 9th. We encourage everyone to come out and participate in the Pedestrian Plaza. The 65th Annual Free Summer Concert Series has started at the Memorial Shell at Veterans Field. Various bands are playing. Please feel free to look at the Village website to get the specifics on who is playing on which evening. The Health Department and community partners will be hosting a mini fair in collaboration with Music Under the Stars on Thursday, July 20th from 6:30 to 7:30. There will be free blood pressure screenings, giveaways, health resources, and at-home COVID tests being distributed as well. The Village of Ridgewood is happy to announce that the Ridgewood Fire Department has been awarded $263,000 in federal funding from the Federal Assistance to Firefighters Grant after an arduous application process. These funds were specifically awarded to replace self-contained breathing apparatus units which have reached end of life. These units are utilized by the firefighters anytime there is an air quality situation or a danger to their life and health. This includes fire, smoke conditions, hazardous material release, or carbon monoxide incidents, to name a few. This equipment is mandatory, therefore these funds will greatly offset the cost to our taxpayers. A big thank you to Chief Judge and his team for their work on this grant application in pursuing these funds. We received a complimentary email from a Ridgewood resident. She wanted to let us know that our sanitation workers are always polite, kind, and excellent to the residents here in Ridgewood, and I want to thank sanitation for that. The Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce presents the 23rd Annual Ridgewood Farmers Market on Sundays through October 29th from 8:30 to 2 at the train station parking lot on the west side. Please come down to enjoy table produce, fresh vegetables, fruits, baked goods, local honey, and much more. The Ridgewood Guild sponsors Music in the Night for providing music in various locations on Friday nights through Labor Day. The Ridgewood Guild's Art in the Park event will take place on Friday, August 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. Council Chat is held the first Saturday of the month. They will resume in September, and that will run from 9 to 11 on September 1st here at Village Hall. If you'd like to call for a reservation, please call 201-670-5500, extension 2207. Walk-ins are welcome, but reservations have priority. The Village Council meetings that are upcoming are broadcast live on the Village Hall, from the Village Hall courtroom and on the Village website, channel 34 on FiOS. They are also available on Zoom or by phone or YouTube. The upcoming meetings are August 2nd, 2023, Village Council Work Session, 7:30 p.m. August 9th, 2023, Village Council Public Meeting, 7:30 p.m. September 6th, Village Council Work Session, 7:30. September 13th, Village Council Public Meeting at 7:30, and September 27th, Village Council Work Session at 7:30. Deputy Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Lorraine, would you like to give your council report?
Yes, thank you. I was just looking up Labor Day. When is Labor Day this year? I'm just wondering if it's that first weekend, or it is.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we should move
The
council
second
chat.
weekend is Coffee with the Council.
Oh.
You could do the third weekend.
Yeah, maybe we should do that. Yeah, make it make the council chat the third weekend of September.
That's Rosh Hashanah.
Oh.
We may resume in October.
We can, yeah, let's resume them in October. Do all three of us agree to that?
I think that's probably a good idea. I would like everyone to know that on the 9th is when we have the coffee with new residents. So we send out letters for that.
Yeah, that's coffee with the
Yeah.
council. That's
Right.
different.
Right, because I think a lot of people,
right.
I mean, I won't be here Labor Day weekend. I
Yeah.
don't know about anybody else.
Right. No point in having it then. And it's not Yom Kippur the following week, is it?
Nope, so I'm looking, Rosh Hashanah, no, that's, no.
Okay, good. So we're good for the first weekend in October. All right, anything else?
Unless that's not, is that, that's not Columbus Day
That
weekend, right?
is-
No.
What?
That is not, but I would like to remind everybody that it's Access Weekend, which I am the Access Liaison. Yeah, that's the next available one. And Oktoberfest. Jeannie?
Okay, thank you. I didn't have any committee meetings this past week, but we did, the Project Pride Committee gave out their third round of Project Pride Awards, where every 2 weeks, 6 residences and possibly 1 business are awarded a 4-foot sunflower stake to put in their yard. And these are for people that go above and beyond with their front yard landscaping. If you know of any houses, your neighbors, friends, whatever, driving around and you say that landscaping is beautiful, just email me the address and we will consider it for the next award. Along with the sunflower stake, you get a $25 gift certificate to one of the downtown businesses. And all of the gift cards are sponsored by the Ridgewood Guild. So I wanted to give a shout out to Tony Damiano and the Ridgewood Guild and thank him for all of those gift certificates. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Siobhan?
Sure. Before we begin, because we have a smaller card, can everyone hear us okay? Is this better than last week? Okay, good. So last Thursday, the Fields Committee had a walkthrough meeting with a whole host of representatives. It was a joint between us and the Board of Ed. On the Fields Committee, we often get complaints about the existing conditions of fields, and we felt that it was a good idea to do a walkthrough. So Keith, the new superintendent, the Parks and Rec liaison, Rich Brooks, the head of facilities, Mike Lembo, and we took a walk through to see the 2 fields that were complained about the most. Shockingly, Orchard was one that had just been the beneficiary of some remediation, and then we went to Glen School. It was really interesting to see the overutilization of some of these fields, and everybody took some takeaways as to what they were going to do. We did 1 village and 1 Board of Ed, and I want to thank everybody who made it happen, including the facilities manager, Damian Smith, who was excellent, and I think you'll hear more about that. We did want to encourage everybody who is using the fields before games to just check the condition of the field, and if there's any problems, report them. As Keith said, this week the Communications Committee, in conjunction with 2 members from the Board of Ed, because the Board of Ed is also exploring new websites, and our police department met to see 2 demos for what's coming, and very exciting. Today, Heather joined us representing the clerk's office. I have to say the demos have been great. We did, from the communications team, we did do a SWOT analysis, and we went to the districts that we felt were beneficial in the presentation you saw here, and we brought in their vendor, and then we have some integration opportunities with an existing vendor for the village. We learned a lot. I am very grateful to the Board of Ed because it's a unique opportunity that we're both sort of shopping for websites at the same time. I want to thank Keith and Heather for being there and the Chief of Police as well. And lastly, I want to congratulate the police and everybody. It was a beautiful night, and for everybody who wasn't here in person, this courtroom was filled with beautiful things and babies and families, and congratulations to everyone from the police force. It was a really nice evening here.
Thank you, Siobhan. Well, I also find it so moving that we swore in 8 police officers to various positions, and none of us up here remember ever swearing in that many police officers at one time. So we were really privileged to be here for that, and I look forward to working with all of them. In terms of my committees, the Green Ridgewood Committee met, and we had a presentation on spotted lanternflies. If you see them, they're beautiful, kill them. You can also use insecticidal soap on them. There is no organized treatment going on right now in the village or at the county level. It doesn't quite seem doable. What they do is these spotted lanternflies, they suck the sap out of trees, grapes, crops, and they create a fungus, and they can really kill a lot of vegetation. We also discussed the idea of pollinator pathways. So instead of one person having a pollinator garden and then the next person having a pollinator garden three blocks away, that there would be a pathway for pollinators, and that's much better for their survival. The pedestrian plaza, what we have planned this weekend is so much fun. I look forward all week to the Saturday Tai Chi. It's just such a great way to start the morning at 8 a.m. in Van Ness Square. And then we have Art of Motion at 10:30 for children. She's doing the Spider Story, and I believe that's not just reading. That is a performance that the kids will never forget. Then at 11:45, there is Zumba dancing by the new gym called Fitometry on Broad Street, but that is in the pedestrian plaza right next to Van Ness Square. We're also working on a new bouncy house ride that would be a water slide. And thank you to Keith and Ridgewood Water Department for making that happen. And at night, at 7:30 in the park, is the Declan Power Band. That's a local group that you'll recognize. They're going to be doing 70s through the 90s hits. On Sunday morning, it's Yoga in the Park by Flow Yoga, and it will be led by Rachel Vasic, who is a resident in Ridgewood. And then in the evening at 5 to 7 p.m. we have Chosen Circle, who has performed in the park before, and they were just great. R&B and pop and jazz. And that's all I have. So we'll go now to Ridgewood Water
Yes.
resolutions.
Right, we have no ordinances, so Ridgewood Water resolutions. The following resolutions, number 23-247 through 23-252, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Award professional services contract, professional engineering services, evaluation of alternatives to current corrosion control inhibitor. Additional award of professional services contract, preparation of long-term funding plan for PFAS treatment and lead service line replacement. Rescind and replace resolution number 23-162, award professional services contract, public communications consultant. Additional award of contract 2023 road resurfacing and repairs, repair Highland Avenue water main leak area. Authorized change order, cultural resource surveys. Authorized change order, Valley View Reservoir improvements. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Yes.
We now have the introduction of ordinance 3962, amending the land use and development chapter to establish regulations for storage of de-icing salt on private property. I move the first reading of ordinance 3962.
I second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Yes.
So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3962 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 190 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Land Use and Development at Section 190-120, Environmental Provisions.
I move that ordinance 3962 be adopted on first reading and that August 9th, 2023 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Yes.
I move that the clerk read ordinance 3960 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second, with a B joke.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Yes.
Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3960?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 127 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Contributions, Gifts, and Donations.
The public hearing is now open.
Frank the B-Man Mortimer, 426 Van Buren Street, Ridgewood, New Jersey. I just want to say that I'm absolutely in favor of this. I'm saying that in my personal opinion, as well as being on the Parks and Rec Board, that I believe that this ordinance will help maintain our parks and make it easier for this council and future councils to have something to point to know how to handle anything that comes in for any gifts or donations, and so fully support it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank. Any other comments? Okay. I move the public hearing be closed.
I second. I did just want to say an extra big thank to the PRC board, where I'm the rep, and to Frank. I mean, often people don't take the time to do the first job, so I'm grateful. And although Matt's not here, I'm very grateful to him and Deputy Mayor Perrin for editing this and getting it to come to fruition. So thank you again.
Okay, Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3960 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Yes.
I move the clerk read ordinance 3961 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Yes.
Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3961?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 3, Article 2 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Village Council at Section 5 entitled Annual Organization and Section 6 entitled Mayor, Deputy Mayor, President Pro Tem.
The public hearing is now open. There being no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
I second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Yes.
I move that ordinance
No, no,
39...
no.
sorry.
I move that ordinance 3961 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and Winograd.
Absolutely, yes.
The following resolutions, number 23-253 through 23-273, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Award contract, municipal court debt collection. Award contract, watering of residential trees. Award extraordinary unspecifiable services contract, emergency repairs to SCADA control system for aeration blowers and motors, water pollution control facility. Title 59 approval, West Glen Avenue pedestrian safety improvements inclusive. Award additional award of contract, West Glen Avenue pedestrian safety improvements, S Hill Road and Heights Road intersection. Award contract under state contract, Tasers Police Department. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract, Kenworth Truck Chassis and Godwin Chipper Body, Shade Tree Division. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing, Snowplow for new signal truck. Award contract under Educational Services Commission of New Jersey contract, body for Ford F-350 pickup truck chassis, Signal Division. Award contract under Educational Services Commission of New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing, steel mason dump body. Recognize receipt of no bids, body shop services. Authorize shared services agreement and execution of memorandum of understanding, various health services, Bergen County Department of Health Services. Chapter 159, 2023 budget amendment, strengthening local public health capacity grant. Chapter 159, youth leadership grant. Approved 2024 NJDOT municipal aid grant application and authorize execution for South Pleasant Avenue resurfacing with enhanced improvements for the disabled. Declare fire department and EMS division property surplus. Amend holidays for Village of Ridgewood to include Juneteenth. Appoint joint insurance fund commissioner. Appoint public agency compliance officer. Appoint member to Central Business District Advisory Committee. Appoint municipal representatives to Bergen County Community Development Regional Committee. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Perrin? Reynolds?
Yes.
And Winograd.
Yes.
We'll go now to public comment. This time, the limit is 5 minutes.
Yes, good evening again. Boyd A. Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I know that you generally don't answer questions during these comment periods, but I'm hoping after the public comment there is some explanation given as to what an official holiday is. Of course, I commented earlier in the year about Juneteenth not being recognized, and at that time that I commented, I spoke that I wasn't necessarily in favor of giving everybody the day off, but it sounds like if this is going to be an official holiday, that means, with the exception of emergency services, people are not going to be coming to work. I don't recall the council ever discussing what the price tag on something like that would be, and the managers talked tonight about negotiating contracts. Is that going to be included in the contract? Is Juneteenth going to be a day where Village Hall is closed, the water department is closed? And again, if so, what is the price tag associated with giving everybody the day off? Never heard any council discussion about that number. And again, there are labor contracts. Don't know if the labor contracts include that day in the contract or not. If they don't, and you really want to give people the day off, the contracts would have to be modified. Again, the question is to what official needs? Recognized, or nobody's coming to work that day? Thank you.
Jacqueline Holm, 30 Carriage Lane. I just wanted to continue what I was trying to say earlier. The importance of the application at Bergen County. Also, at this point, I don't even know the clarification that we're asking for Mr. Rogers, if it would still be applicable, because the application that was initially submitted was for one use, and that has since changed. So I'm wondering if this council has discussed to revise the application of the land acquisition, because from what I understood and what's being discussed is that the intended use of the acquisition has changed to move and place a historic house on the parcel, and that's not listed anywhere on the application. Therefore, the grant would not be used towards open space, passive or active recreation, so now it's even more inconsistent with the mission of a land acquisition grant. I think it would be maybe under a historic preservation grant. So I just wanted to point that out. Would that now be revised? Because as of the last meeting, the acquisition of 510 would be to move the house, the historic Zabriskie Shedler house, from its current location and place it on that property. So if that were to happen, would the village council have to revise that, or would there be a penalty for using that property to store a house or place a house rather than use it for recreation? As far as removing the designation, as what was discussed by Peter Primavera and one of his tasks in his contract, the designation of the historic parcel, that this council has argued a few times that what is historic about the parcel. So in order to remove the designation, I just want to point out that, and further say that Bergen County State Historic Preservation Office, the National Registry, Connolly Hickey Hunter Research Group, amongst a bunch of other experts in this field, would have to admit that they did not know what they were doing. Two of those people, we've paid thousands of dollars over years to work on this historic assessment. So that would be an issue as a taxpayer, that money should be returned if that land is not correctly designated historic, because we will then have to pay money back to Bergen County and the state for the grants that we received and it's not historic, versus what Peter Primavera is stating. So if Peter Primavera is correct as the consultant, then all these other people are wrong. And if Mr. Primavera is wrong, then will we ask Mr. Primavera to refund our money? But at this point, there's so many people on opposite ends about whether this is historic or not. On one hand, we have people who are running this country and nation versus Mr. Peter Primavera. But I think the due diligence and fiduciary obligation of this council and the Village of Ridgewood would be to determine who is right or wrong, since many parties have collected money under this. And to note of what Ellie Gruber, their speaker, said, there's a lot of inconsistencies in Mr. Primavera, and a notice was sent to Deputy Mayor with what the residents had been tasked to find, if any residents had any information on Peter Primavera's past, and we did that, and we forwarded that to you, and we've never received an answer. And despite us bringing out these points and asking to please properly vet him, there was still time when that notice was sent, and without vetting, that person was hired. So here we are today, and there's still time to vet this before further destruction and damage and misuse of funds are done with taxpayer funds. If you could please vet what's been given to us. Who is right? Is it Hunter Research? Is it Connolly Hickey? Or is it Peter Primavera? But the residents deserve to know the truth. Thank you.
Anyone else here present? Okay, so we're going to go to remote public comment. Susan, you're up. Susan? That's what it is. Thank you. Susan, you're up. There she goes. You're off mute.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Yes, Susan Ruan, 705 Kingsbridge Lane. I just want to talk a little bit about the footbridge again, East Saddle River Road. I prefer calling it that versus Kingsbridge, because no one knows where Kingsbridge is. And the grant that was the Congressman's office sent to us, it was pointed out that it was for an ADA compliant footbridge, but it was also with the stipulation that it was primarily for low income neighborhoods, road improvements, or roads with numerous fatalities. Unfortunately, it doesn't meet either of those requirements, or I should say thankfully, it doesn't meet either of those requirements. However, just to make it ADA compliant when there's no sidewalks on East Saddle River Road really needs to be taken into the full picture before we start looking at this grant. Maybe there's other grants down the road that are more open to different neighborhoods. Hopefully we don't have fatalities. Then we're actually eligible for the grant. But that's something that should also be pointed out, because I understand that ADA compliant was what the engineer wanted to do, yet there's still no sidewalks on East Saddle River Road. And until someone speaks about how to add them, I'm not certain where the wheelchair will go after it crosses the bridge. The second is West Glen. I have to take my son into town for classes in the morning, and I was horrified on how busy West Glen is. And I was surprised that there's no sidewalks there, because the traffic is impossible for cars. And I can't imagine a pedestrian trying to maneuver that. So that was just something, and again, safety issues should be the priority of the village council. And lastly, I would like to know if there will be an audit eventually done about the finances for Shedler Park, because I believe we're spending a lot on an outside consultant to try to remove the historical factor. We've spent money on an outside agency to write for the grant that now seems to be going nowhere. The idea of moving a house so we can, to a lot that we're going to be purchasing, again, seems as if we're spending good money after bad. And I think there should be an audit to hold people accountable for what's happening, especially since January when the new council was sworn in, because a lot of these expenses occurred after that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. We go next to Christina Millian.
Hi, Christina Millian, 530 Saddle River Road. I have comments. One, I was reading the Ridgewood Water's 2023 annual drinking water quality report that they put out like 5 days ago. And on the first page, under a title called Customer Participation, it states, quote, "We want our customers to be informed. We strongly recommend attending regularly scheduled Village Council public meetings at 111 North Maple Avenue. Meetings are held on the second Wednesday of each month at 8 p.m. Public meeting agenda, minutes, and video can be viewed on the Village of Ridgewood website." I was just really confused because, as you know, the PFAS issue is very top of mind for me, and I would love to have the town under a holistic strategy. But last Wednesday was the second Wednesday of the month, and we were all with you at Village Hall at 131 North Maple, listening to Peter Primavera for 90 minutes. And so I'm just confused as to like what was sent to residents and like what's going on in practice. So I would really appreciate it if the VC could just clarify when these meetings are and what's happening, or if you've managed to clone yourselves. Like, I'm sure there's a ton of tech companies that would love to know the formula, because it's just confusing. And then the second comment I just wanted to make was, I think I heard something about a water slide mentioned in town. And although, that's like a nice gesture by Ridgewood Water, in the same report that I'm talking about, this annual report, it discussed our town's elevated levels of PFAS and our current failure to get it under control. And so, I don't think it's appropriate, quite frankly, that we should be encouraging our kids to play in water on a water slide in the middle of town. It just feels very risky to me from a health point of view. So thank you for your time.
And that's it for public comment. You go ahead, Siobhan.
So I have a couple things that I want to say. Juneteenth, because it regarded staff, we met in closed to discuss that. So that was noticed. We had a closed session meeting several weeks ago, and I'm not entirely sure what I can say without Matt here, but we did discuss it as a full council. It was noticed, and I had referenced it. We had met with the Martin Luther King Commission, and we talked to them. So I hope that answers the question. It was enclosed, and we did notice it. I want to say a couple things. Obviously, with Shedler, on the advice of council, when we get these notes, we cannot respond. So I feel the frustration that questions are asked, but in the interest of the village, we've been advised not to respond. So I feel the frustration, and I just want to say that, even though Matt's not here, we really can't respond because the person who has told us, given the threats of litigation, we cannot respond. That being said, I would welcome an audit. Since I've joined the council, there have been questions about the finances. I think all of us, if there was a need, would welcome an audit. It is a large capital effort. It's $7 million. We have not, since January, spent a significant amount of money on Shedler. I will say that prior to getting here, the contract between Connolly and Hickey, that was a significant six-figure contract for a historical consultant, and we have not spent that at all anywhere near to that. With respect to West Glen, the grant worthiness comes into question because the original cost of the bridge was, pre-COVID, pre-construction inflation was much lower, and we were knocked out from applying for it because we didn't have the ADA compliance, which begs the question of, do we go back and do it and seek outside money, or do we take a lower cost that we fully fund ourselves? And I think Lorraine had asked for that to be placed back on the agenda.
It will. I just want to clarify, you did say West Glen. I know you meant to say Kingsbridge.
Kingsbridge. With West Glen, tonight, with respect to safety on West Glen, we have sort of taken the project in bits and pieces of what we can move forward, and tonight we passed a resolution looking at the intersection. So we are actively working at West Glen, and Lorraine's been advocating for that. And lastly, I just want to clarify that work sessions are work sessions. So when you guys hear presentations and there's ideas, that doesn't mean we've voted or taken any action. And last week's meeting, there were a lot of ideas. There were a lot of pathways, and we don't know which way we're going to go because we still don't own 510. We still haven't decided if we're going to buy 510. So I just want to make sure that we have 3 meetings a month, 2 are work sessions, and it's entirely possible for a bad idea to come up during a work session. We have not taken any action on the ideas presented, and I know that frustrates people as well, but the only place all 5 of us can hear ideas is in a work session. So that's everything that I wanted to say. I mean, Lorraine, do you want to talk more about West Glen?
No, we are going to have it on a future meeting. I mean, like you said, we did pass. They're going to do the intersection of Heights and Glen, you know, do the bump outs, as long as it has to be brought past the fire department and the recycling and, you know, sanitation department to make sure that that's not going to be a problem with trucks and turning. As long as it's okay, we're going to go ahead with it, and then we will be talking about the rest of West Glen sidewalks. I did want to say something on, also I just wanted to say that I had already talked to the village manager, and we are going to have an agenda item about the time of ending meetings and, you know, cutting off people for public comment. So that is going to be a topic on the next work session, I believe. So that should be August 2nd, correct? Okay. And I think that was, I just had a question. What Christina said on the Ridgewood Water, that there's a meeting on the second Wednesday of the
I have to get clarification of that from Rich Calby, but
Okay.
I will get to the bottom of that and I'll clarify it for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just say something with regard to all these Shedler issues. I don't want to go into depth, but this is a matter of public record, so I can say it. With respect to the information that somebody sent to me about Peter Primavera a few months ago, had to do with a charge of misrepresentation. The charge was dismissed, and I think that's important to note.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
To Mr. Loving's inquiry, I didn't have the opportunity to sit in closed session because it happened before I came on board here in Ridgewood. But the resolution does read, in the last now therefore be it resolved, that it should be included as an official holiday for all village employees. What I want to say about that is this is not something that's unique to Ridgewood. I would say over the last 4 or 5 years, many municipalities in the state of New Jersey have gone to closing their building in acknowledgement of Juneteenth. It is a federal holiday. It is a state holiday. The federal government and the state government are not on the same page as to when it should be observed and recognized, but that's not an issue that we have. That's an issue that they have. As far as cost, there is no dollar amount cost. There is a cost of a work day. So I can't put a dollar amount to that as far as additional cost beyond what we pay our employees now. But in acknowledgement of the holiday, the council decided that this was a priority and that they would acknowledge the holiday and that the employees would be off on that particular day. So I hope that clarifies your question.
It does, thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, we've finished our agenda.
You have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.